A critical vulnerability with a maximum severity score of 10.0 has been discovered in Cisco's Secure Workload, allowing unauthorized data access. Meanwhile, a DDoS botnet operator has been apprehended in Canada as part of a global crackdown on cybercrime. This is your cybersecurity briefing for May 22nd, 2026. Coming up, Cisco has rolled out essential updates to address the critical CVE 2026-20223 flaw. CISA has added 2 actively exploited vulnerabilities to its KEV list, affecting Langflow and Trend Micro Apex 1. A DDoS botnet operator's arrest marks a significant step in global enforcement efforts. New research reveals the exploitability of vulnerable Windows drivers, while the Megalodon campaign has compromised over 5,500 GitHub repositories. Ghostwriter has launched a phishing malware attack targeting the Ukrainian government, and a global takedown has dismantled a VPN used by ransomware groups. We'll start with the critical update from Cisco. A critical security flaw, tracked as CVE 2026-20223 with a maximum severity score of 10.0, has been identified in Cisco's Secure Workload, posing a significant risk of unauthorized data access. This vulnerability stems from insufficient validation and authentication protocols when accessing REST API endpoints, which could allow an unauthenticated remote attacker to exploit the system. Cisco disclosed that an attacker could potentially send a specially crafted API request to an affected endpoint, enabling them to read sensitive information and make configuration changes across tenant boundaries using the privileges of a site admin user. This is particularly concerning as it opens the door to significant data breaches and unauthorized control over system settings. The vulnerability affects Cisco's Secure Workload cluster software across both software as a service, SaaS, and on-premises deployments, regardless of the device configuration in use. Cisco has confirmed that there are no viable workarounds for this issue, emphasizing the urgency for users to upgrade to fixed versions. The company recommends migrating to Cisco Secure Workload Release 3.9 or earlier, or updating to versions 3.10, 8.3 or 4.0.3.17 to mitigate the risk. Interestingly, Cisco discovered this vulnerability during its internal security testing, and as of now, there are no indications that it has been actively exploited in the wild. However, this disclosure follows closely on the heels of another critical flaw, CVE 2026-20182, which was exploited by a threat actor known as UAT 8616 to gain unauthorized access to Cisco's SD-WAN systems. This pattern of severe vulnerabilities being discovered and disclosed in rapid succession raises questions about the overall security posture of Cisco products and the potential for attackers to exploit similar weaknesses. For organizations relying on Cisco's Secure Workload, the implications are significant. They must prioritize patching their systems to safeguard sensitive data and maintain operational integrity. The lack of workarounds means that immediate action is necessary to prevent potential exploitation. As the cybersecurity landscape becomes increasingly fraught with vulnerabilities, this incident serves as a reminder of the critical need for robust security measures and timely updates. Moving forward, organizations should closely monitor Cisco's updates and consider conducting their own security assessments to identify potential vulnerabilities in their configurations. With the recent history of critical flaws, the focus on maintaining a secure environment has never been more crucial. Switching gears, CISA has recently added 2 significant vulnerabilities to its known exploited vulnerabilities, or KV, list, underscoring the ongoing risks faced by organizations using Langflow and Trend Micro Apex 1. The first vulnerability, CVE 2025-34291, carries a high CVE assess score of 9.4 and is tied to an origin validation error in Langflow. This flaw could enable an attacker to execute arbitrary code, leading to a full system compromise. Notably, A report from Obsidian Security highlighted that this vulnerability exploits a combination of weaknesses, including overly permissive cross-origin resource sharing, CORS, settings, and a lack of cross-site request forgery, CISA, protection. The implications are severe. Successful exploitation not only compromises the Langflow instance, but also puts sensitive access tokens and API keys stored within the workspace at risk. This can trigger a cascading compromise across all integrated cloud and SaaS services, making it crucial for organizations using Langflow to assess their exposure and implement fixes promptly. The second vulnerability, CVE 2026-34926, has a CVE score of 6.7 and affects on-premise versions of Trend Micro Apex 1. This directory traversal vulnerability allows a pre-authenticated local attacker to modify a key table on the server, enabling the injection of malicious code to be deployed to agents on affected installations. Trend Micro has confirmed that it has observed at least one attempt to exploit this vulnerability in the wild. Importantly, exploitation requires that the attacker already has administrative credentials to the server, which adds a layer of complexity to the attack, but does not diminish the risk. Given the active exploitation of these vulnerabilities, CISA has mandated that federal civilian executive branch agencies apply the necessary patches by June 4, 2026. This deadline emphasizes the urgency of addressing these security flaws, particularly for organizations that handle sensitive data or operate within critical infrastructure sectors. As the situation develops, it will be essential for defenders to monitor their systems for any signs of attempted exploitation and ensure that they are applying the recommended updates. With state-sponsored groups like Muddy Water already leveraging these vulnerabilities, the stakes are significant. Organizations should prioritize their cybersecurity posture in light of these findings, especially as the deadline approaches. Switching gears, a significant development in the realm of cybercrime has emerged with the arrest of Jacob Butler, a 23-year-old from Ottawa, Canada, who is allegedly the operator of a distributed denial of service, DDoS, botnet known as Kimwolf. The U.S. Department of Justice announced the charges against Butler, also known by his online alias Dort, which include offenses related to the creation and management of this botnet. Kimwolf is reported to be a variant of another botnet called Isuru and primarily targeted Android devices that had an exposed Android debug bridge, ADB service. This is particularly concerning, as the botnet managed to infect devices that are typically firewalled from broader internet access, such as digital photo frames and web cameras. Once compromised, these devices were effectively hijacked or enslaved to participate in DDoS attacks against various targets worldwide, including U.S. Department of Defense networks. The operation of Kimwolf exemplifies a troubling trend in cybercrime, the cybercrime as a service model. Through this framework, Butler and his associates sold access to the infected devices to other criminals, enabling them to launch massive DDoS attacks. Notably, Kimwolf has been linked to some of the largest DDoS incidents recorded, with attack traffic peaking at a staggering 31.4 terabits per second. This level of traffic can overwhelm even the most robust networks, causing significant disruption and financial loss. Butler's arrest follows a broader crackdown on DDoS for hire services, which has seen law enforcement agencies from the U.S., Canada, and Germany collaborate to disrupt the command and control infrastructure associated with various botnets, including Kimwolf. This crackdown has led to the unsealing of seizure warrants targeting services that support at least 45 DDoS for hire platforms, one of which is believed to have collaborated with Kimwolf. Court documents indicate that Butler was identified through various digital footprints, including IP addresses, online account information, and Discord messages linked to his activities. Interestingly, Butler previously claimed he had not used his alias since 2021 and suggested that someone else was impersonating him after compromising his account. As the legal proceedings unfold, Butler faces one count of aiding and abetting computer intrusion, which could result in a prison sentence of up to 10 years if he is convicted. This case is a stark reminder of the persistent threats posed by botnets and the ongoing efforts by law enforcement to combat cybercrime on a global scale. With the rise of sophisticated cybercrime operations like Kimwolf, organizations must remain aware of the vulnerabilities in their systems, particularly with Internet of Things devices that may be less secure. The implications of this arrest could resonate throughout the cybersecurity community, prompting a reevaluation of defenses against DDoS attacks and the services that enable such criminal activities. Switching gears, new research has emerged highlighting the exploitability of vulnerable Windows kernel mode drivers, even in the absence of their associated hardware. This study is particularly significant for cybersecurity professionals as it sheds light on the potential for attacks that leverage these vulnerabilities through user mode interactions. The findings indicate that many Windows drivers can be accessed and potentially exploited from user mode, which is a departure from traditional assumptions that such vulnerabilities are hardware-gated. The research focuses on how these drivers can be manipulated to bypass hardware dependencies, thereby widening the attack surface for threat actors. Specifically, it details how attackers can utilize techniques such as bring your own vulnerable driver, BYOVD, to exploit drivers that may otherwise seem secure due to their reliance on specific hardware. The analysis reveals that two primary criteria determine whether a driver vulnerability is a suitable target for BYOVD attacks. First, the vulnerability must allow for meaningful disruption of security components, such as arbitrary memory access or code execution. Second, it must be exploitable without requiring rare system conditions, like specific hardware presence. This means that many vulnerabilities previously considered safe due to hardware dependencies can be reached and exploited from user mode. Notably, the research also explores the creation of software-emulated devices with spoofed hardware IDs, which can trick the Windows plug-and-play PNP manager into loading vulnerable drivers. This method allows attackers to execute the driver's add-device callback, which is crucial for initializing the driver and making its vulnerable code paths accessible. The implications are profound. If defenders are unaware of these techniques, they may underestimate the risks posed by seemingly benign drivers. As the research suggests, the landscape of vulnerable drivers may change significantly as AI-driven vulnerability research advances and as Microsoft continues to tighten security around driver signing and validation. This evolving threat landscape means that organizations must reassess their defenses against kernel mode vulnerabilities, especially those that can be exploited without the corresponding hardware. In conclusion, the study serves as a crucial reminder for cybersecurity teams to not only patch known vulnerabilities, but also to understand the broader context of driver security. With the potential for exploitation extending beyond physical hardware, organizations should consider implementing more rigorous monitoring and analysis of driver interactions within their systems. As the research notes, the forensic footprint left by these exploitation techniques could be a key indicator of malicious activity, making it imperative for defenders to stay informed and proactive. Switching gears, researchers have unveiled a new automated campaign dubbed Megalodon, which has compromised an astonishing 5,718 malicious commits across 5,561 GitHub repositories within just 6 hours. This wave of attacks occurred on May 18, 2026, highlighting a significant escalation in supply chain threats targeting developers and their environments. The attackers employed throwaway accounts and forged author identities, utilizing names like BuildBot and CIBot to inject GitHub Actions workflows containing base64 encoded bash payloads. These payloads are designed to exfiltrate a wide range of sensitive information, including CI secrets, cloud credentials, SSH keys, and even source code secrets, all of which are sent to a command and control server located at 216.126.225, 129:8443. The breadth of data harvested is alarming, encompassing AWS credentials, Google Cloud tokens, and various API keys that match over 30 secret regular expression patterns. One particularly notable victim of this attack is the package at tiledesk/tiledesk server, which was found to include a base64 encoded bash payload within its GitHub Actions workflow file. The attackers cleverly rotated through multiple author names and commit messages to mimic routine CI maintenance, making their malicious activities harder to detect. This campaign operates through two main payload variants: sysdiag, which triggers on every push and pull request, and optimize build, which activates only through manual triggers. The choice of activation method reflects a strategic trade-off between reach and operational security. While the mass variant aims for maximum exposure, the targeted variant minimizes the risk of detection, allowing the attackers to execute their payloads once a repository owner merges the malicious commit. The implications of the Megalodon campaign are profound. As cybersecurity experts warn, we may be entering a new era of supply chain attacks, with Team PCP believed to be behind this campaign, leveraging the interconnected nature of software development to propagate malware. This group's history of compromising popular open-source projects has already led to a cyclical pattern of exploitation, where one breach facilitates another. In response to the escalating threat, NPM has invalidated granular access tokens that bypass two-factor authentication, and users are being urged to adopt trusted publishing to mitigate risks. However, while these measures may provide temporary relief, they do not address the underlying vulnerabilities that allow such attacks to occur. As the Megalodon campaign continues to unfold, developers and organizations must reassess their security protocols, particularly regarding CI/CD pipelines and the management of secrets. The question remains, how many more repositories will fall victim to this wave of attacks before a more robust defense is established? Switching gears, the Belarus-aligned threat actor known as Ghostwriter has ramped up its operations against Ukrainian government entities, leveraging phishing malware in a campaign that began in the spring of 2026. According to the Computer Emergency Response Team of Ukraine, or CERT-UA, these attacks utilize lures related to Prometheus, a popular online learning platform in Ukraine. The modus operandi involves sending phishing emails from compromised accounts, which typically include a PDF attachment. When recipients click on the link within the PDF, they inadvertently download a zip archive containing a JavaScript file. This file, referred to as OYSTRFRESH, is designed to distract users by displaying a decoy document while it stealthily executes malicious activities. Once activated, Oysterfresh writes an encrypted payload known as OysterBlues into the Windows registry. It also downloads and launches another component, OysterShuck, tasked with decoding OYSTRBLUES. This payload is engineered to gather extensive system information, such as the computer name, user account details, operating system version, and a list of running processes. The harvested data is then transmitted to a command and control server via HTTP post requests. What makes this campaign particularly concerning is the final payload, which is believed to be Cobalt Strike, a widely known framework for simulating adversary attacks that has been misused for post-exploitation activities. This indicates a sophisticated level of planning and execution, suggesting that Ghostwriter is not only interested in immediate data theft, but also in establishing a foothold for future operations within compromised networks. In response to this threat, CERT-UA advises organizations to implement basic security measures, such as restricting the execution of WSCRPT for standard user accounts, to mitigate the risk of exploitation. This recommendation underscores the importance of proactive defense strategies, especially for government entities that may be targeted for sensitive information. The timing of this campaign is notable, coinciding with revelations from Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council about Russia's use of artificial intelligence tools to enhance its cyber warfare capabilities. These developments highlight a broader trend of state-sponsored cyber activities aimed at intelligence gathering and influence operations. As the situation evolves, organizations in Ukraine and beyond should remain aware of the tactics employed by Ghostwriter and similar threat actors. With the increasing sophistication of cyber threats, understanding the nature of these attacks is crucial for developing effective defense strategies. And finally, authorities in Europe and North America have successfully dismantled a criminal virtual private network known as FirstVPN, which has been linked to various cybercriminal activities, including ransomware attacks and data theft. This operation, dubbed Operation Saffron, was spearheaded by law enforcement agencies from France and the Netherlands, with support from a coalition of countries including the UK, Canada, and Germany. The takedown occurred between May 19th and 20th, 2026, and involved a series of coordinated actions. Authorities interviewed the VPN's administrator, conducted a search in Ukraine, and took down 33 servers that were integral to the operation of this illicit service. FirstVPN was particularly notorious for providing anonymity to its users, promoting itself on Russian-speaking cybercrime forums as a reliable tool for evading law enforcement. According to Europol, FirstVPN had been operational since around 2014 and featured 32 exit nodes across 27 countries, including 3 located in the US. It catered to a wide array of cybercriminals, with at least 25 ransomware groups, such as Avadin, reportedly utilizing its infrastructure for reconnaissance and attacks. Subscription plans varied from a single day at $2 to a full year for $483, with payments accepted through cryptocurrencies and other anonymized payment methods. What makes this takedown significant is not just the immediate disruption of criminal activities, but also the broader implications for the cybercriminal ecosystem. Bitdefender, which aided the investigation, noted that while new anonymization services will inevitably emerge, each takedown raises operational costs and complicates the landscape for cybercriminals who rely on such services. The FBI emphasized that FirstVPN's claims of offering untraceable anonymity have been thoroughly disproven, as users have now been notified that their identities are known to authorities. This operation serves as a crucial reminder of the ongoing battle between law enforcement and cybercriminals. The dismantling of FirstVPN illustrates that even the most sophisticated anonymization services can be penetrated, raising the stakes for those who might consider using similar services in the future. As the cybercriminal underworld adapts and evolves, the challenges for law enforcement will continue to grow, making each successful operation a vital step in the fight against cybercrime. With the identities of FirstVPN's users now compromised, the focus shifts to how these individuals will respond and whether they will seek alternative services that could similarly be targeted in the future. Today's stories highlight the ongoing battle against critical vulnerabilities and cyber threats, from Cisco's urgent patch to the arrest of a DDoS botnet operator. Tomorrow, keep an eye on the implications of CISA's addition of 2 new vulnerabilities to their KV list as organizations scramble to address these risks. For more insights and updates on cybersecurity, subscribe to InfoSec Now for your daily briefings. Stay safe out there.